I remember our mom often saying, even after a diagnosis of dementia, but I remember her saying that we've never experienced this in our village back in China. We've never heard of such a thing.
I叫 Cynthia， 我姓黃嘅 Cynthia Wong。我係喺香港移民嚟加拿大。我發覺自己咧個記憶力、個記性咧差咗，日常嘅思考能力咧都冇以前咁好。咁我屋企人就話啦，因為你年紀大，所以咧。你記性差咧係好正常嘅。
My name's Gord, born and raised in Vancouver. I'm one of 3 children in our family.
My name is Mona. I'm the eldest of 3 children, born and raised in Vancouver. Our parents came in the 50s and the 60s. My understanding in being able to talk about dementia, I think is different probably now than before we experienced going through this with our mom. I think originally we think of it, or I think of it as memory loss and gradual inability to do things. And there is that aspect. But I believe more now that dementia also has an impact very much on family and caregiver. And it's not simply helping and dealing with the memory loss. It's eventual and gradual loss of a person's identity and the relationships that they had in their hearts and their minds. And that's probably the hardest part about caring for a person with dementia.
My name is Charmaine. I'm a family doctor in Vancouver. I think that the illness experience tied to the Chinese community and Chinese culture is a very loaded topic. Oftentimes, it's hard for them to reach out for help.
Our mom had some friends that in China when she grew up eventually reconnected over the years in Vancouver. She was very supportive. She would call our mom over the extended periods of time, and our mom wouldn't remember that, oh, you haven't called me in a long time, whatever. But I think as we tried to explain to her friend, our mom's not going to remember. And she said, oh, but if she just drinks more coffee, read more, or other things to more, then it would get better. And so I think there were still either some misunderstandings or things they didn't want to think about.
我的名字叫何连文珍，我是社区工作者，我来自台湾，已经在加拿大住了20多年啊。最重要的，当时我观察到的是，这一些老年朋友来到这边，帮助他们的家庭。来到这边语言不通，行动不便，还有对整个的这个加拿大的这个社会完全没有一个认知的时候呢，对他们的这个精神方面是有很大的一个影响的。所以当时呢，我们的工作一步一步的带他们从社区的参与，当社区义工volunteering。那他们呢，自己的生活豐富了以後，他們就覺得很開心。
每一個人都唔想生病嘅，亦都唔想話俾人哋聽你乜嘢病。尤其是喺我哋華人嘅傳統裏邊咧，我唔會話我生咩病嘅俾人聽嘅。就算你好親密嘅親人咧，你都未必可以講得好多好詳細話我而家有病啊。咁一般嚟講，有病你又去睇醫生去醫嘅。
Hi, my name is Fan, last name Song. I'm a first-generation immigrant as an information technology engineer. My dad used to be a university professor in university for 30 years back to China. When I was a young kid, he educated me a lot, not only teach me how to do photography, how to do a lot of things. He was a very smart person. In the COVID time, I start to realize he started to become thinking more slowly and talking not as fluently as before because we don't understand he has dementia, so we are very impatient to listen to all his cliche.
The difficult things were probably more my issues, I think, when in hindsight. So like I could not get her to bathe regularly or to change her clothes, or she could not get away from recalling and recounting the hurts that she had when she was a child, arguing that that the fig tree that she loved and raised for years, that she has never eaten the fruit from it, and she was going to chop it down, and actually did try to do that. And so it was kind of just exasperating trying to stop the behavior, learning that it wasn't really her. It was the disease. I had to not take it personally.
When a child does something bad, then you say, oh, 醜啊，醜死鬼啊. Or you say, 醜甩耳仔送燒酒啊，醜醜啊. It just means, oh, shame, shame, right? Like, shame on you, shame on you. There's some stigma with something like dementia because people feel like things that are shameful in your family, you keep within the family. And so that idea of shame, or even words that describe shame in Chinese, shows that it roots very deeply in our culture.
You're trying to be supportive, but also, I can distinctly remember one or at least a couple of times just having a small lunch with her, and there would be a moment of lucidity where it is like amazing as she didn't have dementia at all, and she asked, oh, how long have I been like this? And then in terms of the forgetfulness, and then she would be a bit teary-eyed and apologized actually, so for being forgetful.
我名字叫孙海宝，是来自中国大陆。我最怕现在心理上面有个问题，最怕有我发展快，到时候我痛苦的多。他不光是这个付出劳累多，而且经济上面也是困难很多。一切啊，对于家属啊，是很难忍受的。
I'm Louisa Heng. I've been here very, very long time, 50 years. Both of my parents were diagnosed with dementia right before COVID. They live in Vancouver, so I didn't really help them much, only when I visited them. My sister and I were thinking to apply for some kind of home care to help about her to take a bath, that kind of thing. But basically, we are doing our part to help her at this moment. We didn't really rely on any government help.
Filial piety in Chinese culture, 孝順. And there's a way we say, 百行以孝為先, which means in all of the different values, our top priority is filial piety. And so that, yes, of course, is lovely to say and is lovely to understand. But then when put in context of a chronic illness, it puts a lot of pressure on the person who has the illness because they don't want to be a burden. It puts a lot of pressure on children, right? In Chinese culture, you wouldn't talk about care homes, for instance. That's a taboo topic. And so then there's an added layer of complexity there.
There's a cultural expectation, and I think even a personal expectation that we will care for our parents into their elderly years. Being able to admit that we cannot do it ourselves is a hard thing. And there's a lot of guilt, a lot of anxiety.
Because of the fact that family is such a big part of the Chinese culture is one of the main reasons I became a family doctor. And I think that it's so important for when people try to understand an illness experience for a person of Chinese descent or culture, that they understand that it comes with this general sense of family or community or society in general.
面对他的这个过程呢，最重要的就是我们要先了解认知障碍是什么。透过了我们所了解的这一些知识以后，我们接下来才能够去好好的照顾我们的至亲，我们最爱的这个亲人啊。那我妈妈是一个非常坚强的女性。妈妈年轻的时候是个老师，她对数字是非常的敏感，所以呢，她做事情非常的有纪律。我看着她的时候，我知道妈妈她尝试的要记住我是谁。可是有时候他还是忘记了我是谁，但是他还会记得我小的时候很顽皮。我很希望，要是时光能够逆转，让妈妈记住的我是一个总是那么开心跟快乐的孩子，那么呢，妈妈可能她会现在会开心一點。
好多時我哋都唔知道自己生病嘅，尤其是係個腦生病，唔同你一般人。譬如我發燒，我感冒，你有個表面嘅象徵係好易發覺嘅。
Dementia, Alzheimer's, those are very serious and chronic illnesses. They're not things that should be faced with alone.
Closer to her final years, when she wasn't able to go out very much, she learned to fold paper and ribbon to make flowers. We realized that this was, from her heart. So I'm learning to appreciate these now, and it's not just, bits of paper. I've struggled to look for resources, to read other people's experiences.
What I'm hopeful for is a greater scope of people who have an understanding of how people respond to people who have dementia and respond to the caregiver.
我希望喺我周邊嘅人，朋友也好，親戚也好，佢哋有呢啲咁嘅情況嘅時候呢，話俾人哋知，我有啲感覺。
这个问题，我没有感觉到好像是不喜欢讲，不喜欢别人。你这个问题隐藏不了的，必然会这样讲的。所以我就没想到这个不应该跟人家讲什么东西，没有这个想法，根本没这个想法。
When you have a concern, find someone to talk with. I think there just needs to be maybe a bit more understanding. There is hope, and you are not alone.
我哋真係要勇敢啲，企出嚟為我哋自己，因為你為咗自己，長遠嚟講，你真係幫到你屋企人㗎。